Time now for the Nick Hart Show, our weekly chat with the head coach of the Gibson Southern Titans, Nick Hart. The show is presented by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters and brought to you by A&B Contracting, LLC, AgriGold, Best One Tire, Chips, SellMyTees.com, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Daylight Land Management, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Duke Energy, Elite Insulation, Emerson Cattle Company, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Foster Construction, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Snap-on Tools, Grant Rydens, Hilliard Lyons, Ignite Heating and Air, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, Julia's School of Dance, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Eleanor Off-Road of Owensville, MyTech Systems, Pegram Concrete LLC, Princeton Auto Park, Pro Rehab, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Reinbrecht Homes, Right to Bear Arms, Rogers Bit Service LLC, Sandy's Pizza, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, South Gibson Grain, Sin Energy Partners LLC, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, 10 Barge Seed, TYFL, Vertical Tile Incorporated, Hobb Range Hood Company, Ziliac Enterprises, Beatles Towing, First Bank of Princeton, Johnson Commercial Mowing, Make Your Mark, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Martin's Auto Service, Kathy Solman Photography, Scheller's Carriage Inn, United Fidelity Bank, and by Wabash Valley College. The Nick Hart Show, presented by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, starts now on 89.1 The Bash.
Welcome to the Nick Hart Show. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach of the Gibson Southern Titans, Nick Hart. And Coach, your Titans are now 3-0 overall and 3-0 in Pocket Athletic Conference play after defeating North Posey on Friday night 63-7. Now, before we look at the team and individual stats from the first home game of the season, 70th victory in 7 years so far at Gibson Southern. That's a pretty good feat, as well as you got to shake hands with the man, the myth, the legend, Pete Swanson, beforehand as the PD Clarion Gibson County Coach of the Year. So reflect a little bit about those two situations. Well,
70 wins, I don't think any of us thought we'd be here, 7 years ago. So, we have a great coaching staff, a lot of kids, and the community's put in a lot of hard work to get the program where it's at today. And, hopefully we can just, keep it rolling forward.
All right. 70 victories is quite a feat. Matter of fact, this season's not even over in your seventh year. And, averaging, even if you didn't win a game the rest of the way, you've averaged 10 wins a year. That's pretty dominant.
It's been a good run, and, hopefully we can keep it rolling, and we'll have our hands full this week to try and get, 71. So a lot of work left to do this season.
Now, I didn't even tell you that I was going to throw that in there, and I can tell right now that you're very uncomfortable talking about this. So let's move into some team stats.
Sounds good.
Looking at the team stats from Friday night, total offense for the Titans was 538 yards compared to North Posey's 135. Rushing attempts and yards, Gibson Southern had 31 carries for 320 yards, while North Posey had 31 carries for 126 yards. Passing was 218 yards for Gibson Southern, 9 yards for North Posey. Turnovers was 2 apiece, but I do believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a Memorial Day weekend in there. Memorial Day. How about Labor Day weekend? Even worse. But those 2 turnovers came late with second team in there.
Yeah, we still don't like them, but still don't want those turnovers in there. But, yes, they did come late.
All right, so now let's move into some of the individual stats from Friday night. Brady Allen in game number 3 has broke out and put up one of those video game-esque type numbers, 15 for 18. He missed on 3 passes. You can miss on 3 passes just playing catch on the sideline. But he missed only on 3, 15 for 18 for 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. Really good night for the freshman.
Really good, and I think even, even better when you account, for the fact they came out different defensively than what we had seen on film in their first 2 games. So the coverage was different, and I think that when you see a different defense, the 2 groups that affects the most is the offensive line and the quarterback from not getting the reps in practice. So I thought he obviously played very well, but I was very proud of both him and the offensive line for the way they were able to adjust to the different defenses that we saw on Friday night.
All right, let's take a look at the rushing stats now. Ben Butler with 8 carries for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mitchell Spindler, 11 carries for 131 yards and 4 touchdowns. Brady Allen had 3 carries for 21 yards, and absolutely surprised me that he kept the ball one time. And that was a great read, and that's what he needed to do. Ben Luttrell had 3 carries for 17 yards. Tucker Bowes had 2 carries for 16 yards. And Nathan Bowes had 3 carries for 3 yards. So in the rushing category, I mean, you go right back to the top 2 there, Butler and Spindler. And first of all, starting off with Mitchell Spindler, neither one of those guys were touched on their touchdown carries.
Yeah. Again, a lot of credit to our offensive line. We missed a few things on the night, but for the most part, just played exceptional again. And like I said, with them coming out with a different look defensively, great job by our offensive line of following their rules and did a great job. And then when Ben and Mitch get in space, they're able to do really special things with it. So I thought our O-line, too, it shows up in the rushing stats, but they were blitzing us a lot early. And our screen game was very effective. The first touchdown was a screen to Butler. Witt had a score on a funnel screen. Our offensive line did a great job of getting out in space on those screens and freeing up the receivers.
Well, and not only is it showing up in the rushing game with the offensive line and what they do, but just the fact that whether you leave your quarterback in the pocket or you roll him out, he hasn't been touched.
Yeah, and we had a couple times where they had good coverage and covered everything, and we went scramble drill. And our offensive line had enough protection where, Brady scrambled out, our receivers ran the scramble drill, and we were able to get completions out of something that was covered. And also with the pass protection, you got to throw in, Mitchell Spindler too. He had a great blitz pickup on the fade throw to Dawson Witt in the first quarter, which was a great throw and a great catch. But it was set up because they blitzed us, and Mitchell Spindler had a great blitz pickup to keep Brady clean and let him get rid of the ball.
All right, so let's take a look at the receiving stats now. Dawson Witt with 4 receptions for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ben Butler had 6 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. Seth DeLong had 2 receptions for 25 yards. Mitchell Spindler with a reception for 19 yards. Andrew Smith had 2 receptions for 13 yards. So, again, several guys here, 5 guys catching the football, and not only catching it, but then turning it into big plays.
Yeah, I think we have a very dynamic group. Whenever we can get them in space, they got a chance to make big plays.
All right, so let's go to the other side of the football where being pretty special has been the case in the first 3 games on this defense. Leading the way on Friday night, Lucas Ploss was in on 7 tackles. He had 5 solo, 2 assists, and a tackle for loss, as well as a sack. Garrett Martin had 3 solo and 3 assists. Andrew Smith was in on 3 solo and had a tackle for loss. Colton Stefanich was in on 3 solo, a tackle for loss. Logan Falkwer had 2 solo, 2 assists. Max Beadles was 2 solo, 2 assists, and 2 tackles for loss. Caleb Sellers had 2 solo, an assist, and a tackle for loss. Cody Hupp, 2 solo and an assist. And Noah Singer, 2 solo and assist. Now, here's the thing, Coach. Usually I try to see who the top 4 or 5, and I couldn't do that this week. There's like 8 or 9, maybe even as many as 10 guys that I just listed there that are all bunched together within a couple tackles difference. So different hats getting to the football, many hats getting to the football.
Yeah, I thought we did a great job on defense. Their offense is very difficult to play against, and I think the thing maybe I was most proud of is, we blew a couple of assignments on the long touchdown run and gave up a score early. And I think when you get in the position where you've shut a couple people out, when somebody scores, other teams are allowed to score. And so when somebody scores, it can kind of shock your system, and that didn't happen to us. We came out, then the offense got a score, and the defense came right back out ready to play, and that was very good to see that we responded well after we gave up that long touchdown run.
Well, and it may have shocked their system, but in a positive way. It gave, kind of like an AED, giving that positive shock right there that, okay, we've given up the touchdown. Let's forget about the scoreless streak now. Let's go out and do what we're supposed to do. And they did.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes that can be like a little bit of a monkey off the back when you got a streak going like that. So not that we wanted to give that touchdown up, but I was very proud of the way our kids responded after that and came out. They didn't have their heads down or anything. They came out and played better football after that. So, I still think that defensive unit has a chance to be really special. North Posey has thrown the ball pretty well this year. We limited them to 9 yards. Andrew Smith with 2 interceptions. I thought our coverage was spectacular, and with all their play fakes and misdirection and stuff, sometimes they become a really tough cover in their play action game. And I thought the back half did an excellent job on Friday.
All right, so let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will get your overall thoughts from Game 3 concerning the offense, defense, and special teams. But right now, we need to thank the folks that make the Nick Hart Show possible on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Ignite Heating and Air, Hilliard Lyons, Snap-on Tools Grant Bridens, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Emerson Cattle Company, Elite Insulation, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips, SellMyTees.com, Best One Tire, AgriGold, and by A&B Contracting LLC. Are you interested in learning how modern firearms are made and operated? Then the gunsmithing program at Wabash Valley College could be your silver bullet. Learn the basic knowledge and skills of gun repair and custom manufacturing. In our spacious lab, you'll build 3 modern firearms, a Model 1911 pistol, an AR-15 rifle, and a bolt-action rifle. Career opportunities include top manufacturers, law enforcement agencies, and more. The shooting industry is booming. Contact WVC to learn more at 618-262-8641 or visit www.iecc.edu/WVC.
Thank you for listening to 89.1 The Bash and the Nick Hart Show. All right, Coach, let's start with your thoughts of the offense from week number 3 against North Posey.
Very efficient night. 9 possessions, 9 touchdowns with our first group. I would like to see our young guys that came in execute a little bit better there in the fourth quarter. But I thought we played a very clean game offensively. We had the 1 touchdown call back for an illegal man downfield, and honestly, it's one that I'll live with. We were just being really physical and kicking the guy's butt and got a little bit too far downfield, and those are the type of penalties that you'll live with. So I thought we played a really clean game, very efficient in the running and the passing game. Screen game was good. Not many complaints out of our offense. And I know we'll talk more about Henderson County, but it's going to start getting more difficult to score, so we're going to have to be a lot more efficient in what we do moving forward.
All right, so let's now go over to the defensive side, where, again, your defense did give up a touchdown on the night, a long touchdown run, something that's kind of uncharacteristic. I mean, when they went around the left end there and not even touched. That was kind of disappointing, but yet, like you said, the defense responded exactly the way you want them to.
Yeah, it was a really good scheme by North Posey, and then they faked the double. They'd run double handoff several times coming into the game, so they faked the double handoff, and some of our eyes went and we chased the double handoff when we should have stayed at home, and that allowed him to go free around the edge. But again, I thought we did a great job of responding. I thought we controlled the line of scrimmage the entire night. We had several tackles for a loss, a couple sacks in there, got 2 turnovers on the interception. And like you said, with all those guys making plays, all those guys, different guys making tackles, it's really good to see that it's not just 1 or 2 guys. We've got a lot of guys that are making plays, causing havoc and getting to the football.
And, of course, then on the special team side of things, status quo. But this time he's back out with the lime green shoes.
Yeah, Bryce kicked very well, 9 for 9, and had several touchbacks. And when he didn't have touchbacks, I thought our kickoff coverage was excellent on the night. We got a couple of pooch kicks in to work on that moving forward. So I thought another very, very good night in the special teams game for us.
Well, and the key is with those pooch kicks. I love seeing that ball booted to the end zone because it's just so hard at any level to score from 80 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, now in college, they give them a little bit of a break. They only have to go 75 because they're not as tough up there at that college level. But to drive 80 yards consistently is one of the toughest things to do and score. So I love seeing it in the end zone, but when you did those little pooch kicks between the 30, 35-yard line, the thing that stands out to me is how fast, just literally fast your kids are getting down on coverage.
Yeah, and we had a little bit of a wind in our face is why we wanted to work on those pooches, knowing that he wouldn't be able to get it to the end zone with that. And I think, yes, very fast. We did a great job on our coverage, but, Bryce hits those pooches so high that gives our coverage team a chance to get down there. So, as soon as they caught it, we had guys there making the tackle, and it was just excellent execution all around by Bryce and by the coverage team.
Well, and I got to also comment, too, because in high school football with special teams, a lot of coaches are deathly afraid of going for the kick. Either they don't have a kicker, they don't have a holder, they don't have a snapper, because it takes three things there. You've got to have the snap, you got to have the hold, you got to have the kick. And yet Lucas Ploss to Adam May, and then putting it through there with the lime green shoes, Bryce Williams, your three guys have been fantastic all year long.
Yeah, they have. Lucas is the returning long snapper, and he's done a great job for a couple of years. And Adam holding it, does a great job. And I'll add in too, our protection's been really good. We had a few miscues week one on our kick protection. Where we could have given something up, but we got that fixed, and I think since then we've done a really good job of protecting the kick as well.
All right, Coach, we need to thank some of the supporters of the Nick Hart Show, and when we come back, we will take a look around the Pocket Athletic Conference to wrap up week number 3 of the 2018 season and get prepared for week 4. As you are listening to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by South Gibson Grain, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Sandy's Pizza, Rogers Bit Service LLC, Right to Bear Arms, Reinbrecht Homes, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Pro Rehab, Princeton Auto Park, Pegram Concrete LLC, MyTech Systems, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, Eleanor Off-Road of Owensville, Kissel Farms Incorporated, and by Julia's School of Dance.
Looking for a career in the entertainment business? A career that allows you to work with the people behind the scenes to take a creative idea and turn it into a successful project? That allows you the chance to use traditional and new digital media formats? Check out the all-new Entertainment Business Certificate program at Wabash Valley College. Become a professional sales associate, broadcast marketing consultant, a digital media manager, or more. Find out more about the new Entertainment Business Certificate option at WVC today. Log on to www.iecc.edu or call 618-262-8641.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach of the Titans, Nick Hart. So, Coach, let's take a look at the Pocket Athletic Conference from week number 3, and it was an entire conference affair this past Friday night. Of course, we already mentioned your Titans defeated North Posey 63-7. Heritage Hills defeats Pike Central 62-2. Heritage Hills is playing some darn good football in the first one-third of the regular season.
Yeah, they really are. And now, when you look back, you might not have thought much week 1 about the Mount Vernon win that they had. But Mount Vernon's come back and beat North Posey, beat Mount Carmel. And they're soundly, and they're playing really good football. So that makes that week 1 win, look really, really impressive with the way they played against Mount Vernon. So they're playing darn good football right now.
And then Southridge bounces back as they defeated Forest Park 48-7. Kind of expected Southridge to come back and do such things, but at the same time, wondering if it's Tyler Shank or Taylor Shank?
Tucker.
Tucker. Had a T in there. Yeah. TTT. Tucker Shank. Wonder if he got back on the field this past week.
I didn't see him on Home Team Friday, and I know they have had some other guys banged up as well, so I think a big thing for them right now is, getting healthy as they kind of enter a big stretch of the schedule.
And then the final conference game of the week, it was Tell City defeating South Spencer in overtime. What a ball game, 22-14. So it was a battle of defenses to see who was going to win this one. I don't know. I don't know what to think, but at the same time, South Spencer and Tell City come out and they were competitive with each other.
Yeah, and credit to the Tell City kids. If I heard correctly, I think South Spencer got up 14-0, and Tell City came back to tie it at 14-14 and take it to overtime and win it there. So, credit to those kids for getting down and continuing to play football and fight back to get a win.
Well, now looking at the standings for the Pocket Athletic Conference after 3 weeks here, your Gibson Southern Titans on top with a conference record of 3-0, 3-0 overall. Heritage Hills is 2-0 in the conference, 3-0 overall. Southridge is 1-0 in the conference, 2-1 overall. North Posey is 1-1 in the conference, 1-2 overall. Tell City is 1-1 in the conference, 1-2 overall. Pike Central is 0-1 in the conference, 0-3 overall. Forest Park is 0-2 in the conference, 0-3 overall. And South Spencer is 0-3 in the conference and 0-3 overall. So moving ahead to the first Friday in September, looking at things, Forest Park will be at Tecumseh, a 6:30 p.m. ball game.
Yeah, I don't know much about Tecumseh. I think Tecumseh beat Pike Central
in week one.
Hopefully, Forest Park can go there and avenge that Pike Central loss for the conference.
Well, and I think I led you astray there. That might have been a week two score because Pike Central had played that team from somewhere.
Indianapolis somewhere, week one, yep.
And then, of course, Heritage Hills will be at Jasper. Whew, this could be a good ticket right there.
Yeah, and I know they're not in our conference and not talking about them, but how about Jasper's schedule to start out the year? They play the 3A champs Memorial, the 2A champs Southridge, Boonville, who's very good this year.
Boonville gets the victory.
Yeah, and then Heritage Hills week 4, so they have some great tests early, and Heritage Hills, getting a big test here, with an angry Jasper team. So you'll definitely be checking in on that one on Friday night, see how it turned out.
Well, and then an interesting battle here will be Owensboro Catholic at South Spencer. Isn't Owensboro Catholic where the South Spencer coach was from last year?
Yeah, Coach Edge, spent many years at Owensboro Catholic, so that'll be interesting. Going back against your old team, and I'm sure that's kind of like will be a bittersweet, type of deal. I think it'd be really tough. The fans and everybody's one thing, but it'd be really tough to coach against the kids that you coached last year. So. Hopefully that's, not too rough on him.
Well, and then we have a Pocket Athletic Conference matchup with Pike Central at Tell City. And I tell you what, I've got to throw behind Tell City right now. They've got some momentum with the overtime victory.
Yeah, they sure do. Big win. Coach's first win there. And how about them? They played 3 games this year. Their first game went to overtime with Perry Central and then went to overtime last week. So they're playing a lot of extra football down there. But they got a chance to get their second conference win of the season here early in the season.
Well, and then the final game within the Pocket Athletic Conference is Southridge at North Posey. So North Posey gets to go home, and I think they're running the gauntlet right now in which they have you and Southridge and then Heritage Hills.
Yep.
So North Posey looking to maybe get themselves back on the path at home against the Southridge team. Not sure how percentage-wise how healthy they are.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. And again, I think a lot of that probably depends on Southridge's health and North Posey's health. They got a couple guys dinged up, as well. So, that whoever's the most healthy probably has the best chance to come out with a win that game.
All right, Coach. Well, there's one more segment to go, which means it's time to get the listeners ready for Friday night as your team prepares to take on Henderson County in a non-conference matchup. But first, let's thank some of the underwriters of the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Sin Energy Partners, LLC, trapping and removal of animal pests, 10 Barge Seed, TYFL, Vertical Tile Incorporated, Hobb Range Hood Company, Ziliak Enterprises, Beatles Towing, First Bank of Princeton, Johnson Commercial Mowing, Make Your Mark, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Martin's Auto Service, Kathy Solman Photography, Scheller's Carriage Inn, and by United Fidelity Bank. Friday night, the Henderson County Colonels come calling as the Gibson Southern Titans play host in a non-conference affair. Kickoff is set for 7 o'clock. Our pregame show on 89.1 The Bash begins at 6:45. Our coverage of Titan football is brought to you by Ponderosa Steakhouse, ADG Architecture and Design Group, H&R Block of Mount Carmel, United Fidelity Bank, Ours Cafe and Catering, and by Wabash Valley College. The Titans play here on 89.1 The Bash.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show right here on 89.1 The Bash, or you may be listening using the free app to access the show on your cell phone. So, Coach, week number 4, your Titans will be taking on Henderson County at Jack Jewell Memorial Field, and we will have all the action live on 89.1 The Bash with pregame at 6:45 p.m. Henderson County will enter this contest winners of, 2 games so far?
2 in a row. Yeah, they're 2-1.
2-1 on the season. What do you expect to see from the Colonels on the offensive side of the football?
Well, with them, as a whole, this is our 4th game against them in a 4-year deal, and I think a lot of times because we've had some success here in the first couple of years, it's easy to forget that they're a very tradition-rich 6A program. From Kentucky, they've had a lot of success in their program, and this is the best team that we've faced in our 4 years against them. They're playing really good football right now. But offensively, it starts with their quarterback, Skip Patterson.
He's still there.
Somebody needs to check his birth certificate.
My word.
I think. He's started. This will be his 4th year.
As a 3rd grader.
Yeah, this will be his 4th year starting against us in this 4-year deal. So we not only signed a deal with Henderson County, we signed a deal with Skip. Back in the day, but he does a great job of leading their offense. I think one place where he's always been a terrific athlete and a terrific runner, and he's very difficult, strong kid, very difficult to bring down. I think he's really improved in the passing game. I thought he took a big step forward from his sophomore to his junior year, and I think he took another big step this year, and he's really throwing the ball well. But they're going to have a tight end and a wing and 2 receivers most of the time. A lot of motion out of that wing guy. He's not like a true tight end. So you see a lot of jet sweep, a lot of fake jet sweep, quarterback follow, bring him back behind and do some speed option. Do a lot of different things out of that personnel grouping to kind of cause you some fits. And I tell you where they've really been hurting people is in the play action game. That's where they really hurt Wrights. They got some big plays against North as well. So their play action games have been very, very good. And that's, obviously if you're running the ball well, that sets you up to have a lot of success in the play action game.
All right, so let's go to the defensive side. What do you see from them on film defensively?
Well, I think when you look at them, they gave up 35 points week 1 to Wrights, and Wrights hit some big plays on them. They fixed a lot of that. They gave up 7 to Evansville North week 2, and then they gave up 7 to Christian County, Kentucky this week, who's always been a pretty good team out of Kentucky. And that 7 was actually a defensive touchdown, so that their defense really shut out Christian County. So these past couple of weeks, their defense has been playing really good football. They're kind of based out of a 3-4. They'll give you a lot of different looks front-wise, under fronts. They'll slant to the under front. They'll give you a bunch of different looks. And then, coverage-wise, it's usually cover 3, cover 4. And then, on 3rd downs, they like to play some man-to-man and heat you up a little bit and get after you.
Well, when you look at this team, even last year when they gave us literally everything they had and then some, and was close to pulling out a victory against us last year down there, this ball club has playmakers. I mean, when you're talking about on the offensive side, the quarterback running, Patterson running, but he can also throw the ball down the field, and he's got receivers that can go get it.
Yeah, he does. They have a lot of great playmakers. I think the running back's running the ball really well. He's a new starter this year from who they had last year. They have some new guys on the outside from last year, but again, they're playing really good football. And I think they're, I think the first couple years when we played them and we beat them pretty good, they weren't extremely efficient at throwing the football. They could run it pretty well, but we could kind of stack the box and go against them. And last year we stacked the box a little bit, and they hurt us in the air. We were going to make him throw to beat us, and he almost did beat us by throwing the football. So, it's definitely one of our biggest tests of the year on the schedule without seeing, other teams on film that we're going to see down the road. but I can't imagine them not being one of the top teams we're going to play all year. They're playing really well. They gave Wrights absolutely everything they wanted, and if they had some bad turnovers in that game, if they had taken care of the football, they would have had a chance to knock Wrights off, and then they'd be 3-0 coming in here. So we've got to play very clean football on Friday, and it's exciting. I think not only as a coach, I think our kids are excited. You know that you're going to have a 4-quarter test coming up on Friday night, and those type of games are the games you really want to play. Those are fun. So we're really excited for this test.
All right, Coach. So any other thoughts from this week leading up to the big game Friday night?
Well, we'd like to have everybody out there that we can because it's a big one for us, and we're excited. Like I said, to have that 4-quarter test, and I think we're going to find out a lot about our football team on Friday.
All right, Coach. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. So, Coach, good luck Friday. We'll see you after the game on the post-game show, and best of luck to the players. We would like to thank all of you for joining us here on 89.1 The Bash for the Nick Hart Show, and be sure to catch us each week at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night for your look inside Gibson Southern Titans football. Before we sign off, though, we would like to thank all the supporters of the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is a special sports presentation of 89.1 The Bash, made possible by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters and these sponsors: Ziliak Enterprises, Hog Range Hood Company, Vertical Tile Incorporated, TYFL, 10 Barge Steve, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Sin Energy Partners LLC, South Gibson Grain, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Sandy's Pizza, Rogers Bit Service LLC, Right to Bear Arms, Reinbrecht Homes, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Pro Rehab, Princeton Auto Park, Pegram Concrete LLC, MyTech Systems, L&R Off-Road of Owensville, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Julia's School of Dance, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, Ignite Heating and Air, Hilliard Lyons, Snap-on Tools, Grant Rydens, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Emerson Cattle Company, Elite Insulation, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips, SellMyTrees.com, Best One Tire, Agrigold, A&B Contracting LLC, United Fidelity Bank, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Kathy Solman Photography, Martin's Auto Service, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Make Your Mark, Johnson Commercial Mowing, First Bank of Princeton, Beatles Towing, and by Wabash Valley College. The Gibson Southern Titans play here all season long on 89.1 The Bash.